Hello, villagers. Welcome back to the Village Hour. I'm your host, Amy Young, and today we are so honored to have with us Brandon Vance, candidate for Dallas City Council District 4. So, Brandon, how are you?
I'm doing really good. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on the Village Hour. It's much more of an honor for me, I promise you.
Thank you. We're so glad to have you here. So, Brandon, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. So I'm originally from New Orleans. I've been in Texas and DFW for almost 11 years now. Have kind of laid down my roots up here, really kind of settled in and become a part of the community. I graduated from Texas Woman's University, so I took a few years out of Dallas and went up to Denton, got my degree up there in government with legal studies, and then came back down, and now I'm a homeowner down in the Druid Hills area, right around the corner from Bishop Dunn High School. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts details of my background.
So you're running for Dallas City Council District 4. Tell us a little bit about that and what your goals are for that position.
Absolutely. So we have a vacancy in the city council for District 4. Our prior city council person resigned a little bit over a month ago. Mm-hmm. So the city council voted to have a special election that's going to be on the November ballot. This is actually the first time that the city of Dallas, as far as what we've been told, is holding a municipal election on the November ballot. So it's kind of an experiment for the city as well.
Okay.
There are 13 candidates in the race, which is also fascinating for a special election, so a city council race. But the great thing is, it shows that there are a lot of people who are willing to stand up and who really want to represent District 4 and fight for our community. In regards to my reasonings, I'm very open with votes. Earlier in the year, I was not even thinking about city council. It wasn't on my radar at all. I've run for office before. I ran for Congress in 2016. And so the reality was that I was thinking, maybe down the road one day I'd run for Congress again. Mm-hmm. And so city council wasn't there. But having gone to city hall, gone to city council meetings and spoken out on a few issues, the community really started to call over the last few months and say, hey, Brandon, this is something you should be thinking about for 2019.
Okay.
So when former Councilman Caraway resigned, then the calls really kind of came in and people are like, hey, you should really run. You should really think about this. And we really would be excited if you got in this race. And so after much prayer, much consideration, talking to my pastor, talking to my family, I decided that, I'd go ahead and dive in and put myself out there for the community.
That is the greatest honor to have friends and family that, that are saying, hey, we see you in this role. That's really awesome.
It's tough because I've said for years, since I ran in 2016, but before that, not everyone is built to run for office. Right. Not everyone is built for public service. It takes a special kind of person, that really looks to honor that sacred public trust, mm-hmm. that wants to go out there and fight day in and day out. You're always going to not please someone. You're always going to be someone's bad guy if you're in elected office. No matter how much good you do, there's always going to be someone who's going to be upset with what you did. And so you have to be built to withstand that.
That's right. Not take it personally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Brandon, talk to us a little bit about the importance of voting. And we know that. Overtly, most people know that. We know the struggles, especially in the African American community, that we've gone through to even have the right to vote. But this election is really big, and we say that about every election because it is important for us to voice how we feel or put people in place who will represent us. But can you speak to that, the importance of this election, if you will?
Absolutely. So I'll start with voting in general. It's something, I've been a deputy voter registrar for several years now, and so I go out and meet people and register them to vote. And it's interesting because you do hear people still saying, oh, my vote doesn't matter. My vote doesn't count. Mm-hmm. And so I'm always providing examples to people, one of my friends, Terry Meza, she ran for state representative a few years ago. She lost by, I believe, 64 votes. And that's the difference between putting a Democrat in the state legislature and versus a Republican. And if anyone wants to say that there's no difference there, I guarantee you there is a difference, especially when you're talking about education. Recently, it's in the news today, in Georgia. They had a Republican primary earlier this year, and a gentleman lost by 67 votes. And now they're saying they're going to have to do the election over because there was a lot of issues and problems. So voting matters because your one vote could be the vote that turns an election. You getting out friends and family could turn an election. But in specific to right now, this moment that we're in 2018, in Texas and across the nation, but specifically in Texas, things are moving. Things are happening. We have an amazing senatorial candidate in Beto O'Rourke, who is kind of leading the charge and dragging everyone across the finish line with him as he's circling the state, visiting every county. And we have an opportunity to do something in Texas that hasn't been done in ages. Elect a statewide Democrat from El Paso, of all places. So, there's also issues up and down the ballot. We have the Dallas County District Attorney, who's also going to be on the ballot right now. And again, it is a stark difference between one candidate and the other candidate. We have judicial races that are on the ballot. We have some amazing judicial candidates, and it is a very important difference between one candidate and the other candidate. And so it's very important that people recognize that this election is crucial to their everyday, day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And specifically in District 4, not having a person on the council representing us right now is a detriment to the people in District 4.
Mm-hmm.
The city council they're the ones who vote. They can affect your property taxes. They can affect, how areas are zoned. They can affect whether or not, the police are paid enough in Dallas. Those are things that immediately and directly impact the people in our community. So getting out there, voting in those municipal elections, in those county elections, in those local and statewide elections are crucially important because they're going to impact you much more directly than the presidential at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we always think, nationally, which is good. Like I said, we do want to vote in the national election, but when it comes to local politics, I think there's a tendency for us to bow out. But those are equally important as the ones, that we put a president in place or whatever. So.
Absolutely. And definitely not discounting, the presidential elections every 4 years. But a great example that I get to post is that the president is not going to affect whether or not your garbage runs. The president is not going to affect whether or not the potholes on your street get filled in. And so, they are making whole-scale legislation across the nation, whereas your city council, your ISD trustees, they are going to have that immediate impact on your life.
Okay. Well, Brandon, thank you for this time that we've had together. Is there a final word or anything else that you'd like to share with us?
Sure. I guess I'll say in closing, again, my name is Brandon Vance, candidate for Dallas City Council District 4. If you want to reach out, my website is pretty easy. It's www.brandonjvance.com. You can find me on social media as well. Tell your friends, tell your family to get out there and to vote this fall. And in the municipal election, I am number 1 on the ballot. So tell your friends.
Yay, we can't miss number 1.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much.
Not a problem at all. It was excellent speaking with you. Thank you again.
Thank you. Take care.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.